Close your eyes and imagine a game that is not only fun, but also has had the best and most compelling story you have ever seen. A story that has had a real impact on your life. What game do you see? Well, I know what I see. I see Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. To set the ground floor, Expedition 33 is a turn-based RPG that is a breath of fresh air for the genre. I'll explain how once we get to the combat, but first I think I should explain who made this game. Sandfall Interactive is a games company composed of around 30 developers. I don't think I need to explain how that is a very small team for a game of this caliber, and the fact that this is their first game shows the talent on display here. So I felt the need to show my love for this game by making a full-length retrospective going over the gameplay, visuals, music, and most importantly, the story. So let's start from the beginning. The game starts with an ominous structure in the distance, displaying a 34 on it. Immediately, this sets interest in players asking what that could possibly mean. We then see our protagonist Gustav throwing rocks into absolutely nothing. Gustav is a scientist in New Lumiere, a city that as far as we know, is the only place sustaining human life. To add some context, 67 years ago, Lumiere was a full and complete civilization. Then came the fracture that caused the entire world to break. This break sent New Lumiere flying onto an island on the ocean, which is why they were able to survive. But this is only a part of the entire Lumiere. Theoretically, the rest of the city is somewhere in the world. We then meet Gustav's adoptive family member Maëlle, who says,
"If you're gonna give someone flowers, you should probably do it before they wither and die."
She also mentions something about a festival and a girl named Sophie. Sophie is a previous love of Gustav's that it never worked out, and the way the two speak, it seems as though their love never will. While the two are heading to the festival, they decide to have a friendly duel, which is our first combat in the entire game. This is where we learn what makes Expedition 33 such a fun and engaging experience. Instead of the common turn-based game where you wait for your opponent to finish their turn, the player needs to stay on their toes and parry or dodge the incoming attack to avoid damage and potentially deal a counterattack. I'm not even going to explain how this is a much better system than other turn-based games. All I can say is hitting a perfect parry and smacking your enemy in the face is one of the best feelings in the entire game. We finally get to Sophie to give her a flower, and her and Gustav's conversation feels as though it is the last one they'll ever have. It's very heartbreaking hearing them express how they wish their love was successful, but now that can never happen. But during the conversation, Gustav drops the interesting line,
"We'll break the cycle, so she can't steal anyone else's future."
Which I think I should explain what's going on. This entire game revolves around one entity, the Paintress, who every year uses her powers to lower the number on the structure, and every time this happens, whoever's age matches that of the number shown experiences something called the Gommage, which is basically just getting Thanos snapped. And as I'm sure you figured out, Sophie is one of the unlucky few whose turn it is to pass on. So next year, it will be the 33-year-olds, then the 32s, and so on until the world has been erased of human life. Gustav is 33 years old, meaning his time is limited. To bring us back, Gustav's line about breaking the cycle is in reference to what the game is named after, the Expeditions, which is the quest some citizens of Lumiere take with the goal of taking down the Paintress to end the brutal cycle of death. Most of the brave souls that go on the expeditions are people who will Gommage the next year. Essentially, they recognize their time is limited, so why not try to save the world? After this, Gustav and Sophie walk through the Lumiere Festival, talking with the locals, exchanging final goodbyes, and happy memories as the time slowly gets nearer. One noteworthy encounter is these two young boys dressed as creatures known as Gestrels. Sophie then presents Gustav with a final parting gift, a uniform for his expedition, further showing the care these two have for each other. Eventually, the time comes, and the Paintress arrives to change the number from 34 to 33. And sure enough, people start disappearing with this beautifully somber song playing in the background, and now just let the final moments between these two play out.
I'm here.
I think what I love most about this scene is the facial expressions. You can tell exactly what both characters are thinking. Gustav clearly has deep sorrow in his eyes, watching a loved one disappear in his grasp, thinking he should have done more for her, and Sophie's expression is especially amazing. You can tell in her eyes that she isn't ready to leave her life in Lumiere, because even though she has had this ticking clock for her entire life, she still has unresolved issues, like the man staring into her as she takes her final gaze upon the world. But then she switches and accepts her fate, recognizing that there isn't anything she can do other than spend her last moments in the arms of the man she loved, but never could love. This is the strongest start to a video game I have ever seen. I don't think I've ever been this emotionally attached to a story, and they accomplished this in the first 30 minutes. Absolutely incredible. And the song, okay, let me gush about the music for a while. Expedition 33's music is something extraordinary. I've never felt such emotion just by listening to music while playing a game. During this video, I'll be using some of my favorite songs from the game, so just listen out for that and enjoy, because they are so unbelievably good. After that very heartbreaking scene, we cut to the Festival de Expedition, which is the final send-off for the expeditioners. Gustav then goes around speaking to all of his future comrades, some notable ones being Ciel, who is a fun-loving alcoholic, and Lune, who is Gustav's fellow scientist and clearly doesn't want to be there. Gustav and Lune also talk about Expedition Zero, which was the first expedition and the most successful, which, after 67 attempts, you would think that your first attempt wouldn't be the best, but I digress. It's said that Expedition Zero reached the Paintress's monolith and was the only expedition to bring back survivors. Following that, Gustav has a conversation with Maëlle and expresses how he thinks she should stay back in Lumiere. She still has 9 years till she gomages, while the others only have 1. But she counteracts this with,
1 year out there is better than 9 years in here.
which gives off a lot of angsty, rebellious teen vibes, but I guess that explains a lot about her character. Maëlle also expresses how Lumiere doesn't feel like a true home to her, how she isn't connected to anyone there other than Gustav and his sister Emma. Speaking of Emma, she arrives at the festival and gives the expeditioners a final goodbye speech, wishing them luck and bravery. While the speech is inspiring and once again the music goes insanely hard, it still feels empty. Like, what makes this group so special that they will succeed? How many times has she given this speech with the same result every time? For some reason, this speech made me think of the speech given to the German boys in All Quiet on the Western Front. Both of the groups were told that they were fighting for their people, but these boys haven't experienced the true cost of battle, while the expeditioners have seen over and over again people they know and love sail off, laying their eyes upon them for the last time. I wouldn't be surprised if this is how Expedition Zero reacted to this type of speech, but now everyone sees through the facade. They all recognize these attempts to be futile, but they must persist. What other option do they have? After this, the expedition sails away towards their journey and eventually they reach a beach. The atmosphere here is super tense. There is nothing around them but ash and destruction. This silence, however, is quickly disintegrated by the loud echo of a cane, and out comes this mysterious figure. It's a man, a white-haired man, clearly older than anybody they've seen. White hair has become a myth to Lumiere. It's a symbol of a life well lived, one not cut short, a life these people will never get to see. This raises so many questions. How did this man survive the Gommage? Why is he out here? Is there a cure to the paintress that he discovered? All of these questions are quickly cut short as the man decapitates the leader of the expedition, which causes all hell to break loose. This beach quickly becomes a battlefield with explosions and monsters roaming at every corner. Each expeditioner is getting snatched into the darkness, never to be seen again, and eventually Gustav gets attacked by this hand creature and he gets knocked out. Gustav eventually comes to and finds himself in an area known as Spring Meadows, which is a beautifully colorful place beaming with life to juxtapose all the death we just witnessed. It seems like this area is meant to give new hope to Gustav, like it gives him a reason to continue his expedition. This, however, falls upon deaf ears. The music also fits perfectly. It isn't as whimsy and fantastical as you would expect. It's somber and slow, which fits the mood of Gustav and the player after watching all hope from the expedition be ripped out as quickly as it was born. Gustav then discovers his first Nevron. Nevrons are the general term for an enemy in this game. They are creatures that are filled with chroma, which is basically just the life force in this world. In this fight, we are introduced to a new combat mechanic, free aim, which is just shooting a single basic attack that doesn't use up your turn. The main reason for this is to find weak spots on enemies to deal extra damage to them. I really enjoy this mechanic because it feels very satisfying to find a weak spot on an enemy that may not have been so obvious. It makes the player think about different ways of attacking an enemy. After that, Gustav finds a bloody graveyard of dead expeditioners. It shows him how his expedition isn't alone. It shows him how pointless these expeditions are. How many times has Gustav watched these expeditions sail away, only for them to be slaughtered before the next morning? It's so depressing to think how the people of Lumiere hoped and believed that these people were going to finally make a change, only for them to be added to this massive pile of flesh, bones, and despair. Like a mother waiting for her son to come back from war, only to be met by a man in a dark suit. Only the people of Lumiere never get to meet that man. They only have their frail hope to believe that their friends are alive and well, making a difference. And the bloodshed doesn't end. As Gustav moves further into the cave, he finds more dead expeditioners. Hundreds, thousands of his people all in one place, further exemplifying the futility of these expeditions. And it's all too much for Gustav.
You do that, we both die.
It's Lune, Gustav's fellow scientist, who tries to convince him that they can't give up now and must continue. Gustav is opposed to this, seemingly void of all hope, until a giant Nevron attacks the duo. This gives him the will to help fight the Nevron along Lune's side. I think now I should explain another part of the combat that I love, each character's uniqueness. Every character in this game has a different core mechanic that makes them play completely different from all the other characters. Gustav's is quite simple. The more you attack and parry attacks, it builds up a meter that lets him perform a massive blast of electricity from his robotic arm. Now that I think about it, I never mentioned that. Gustav lost his arm somehow, and his apprentices made him a replacement. Lune's special mechanic is called Stains. Every time she uses a different skill, it generates a different elemental stain, which if you use the correct stains, it can boost a skill's ability. I really like this mechanic because it might make the player use a skill that they wouldn't usually use because it generates the correct stain that they need. After they defeat the Nevron, we learn about one of the most important combat mechanics, Pictos and Lumina, which are basically the same thing. Pictos and Lumina are basically just the way to build your specific type of combat build. They can make you deal more damage, move faster, get boosts, gain more AP, which are used to perform skills. I enjoy Pictos because it's pretty easy to make a good build without having to look up any guides on what the best combination is. It's a lot more fun to create and discover your own synergies. Okay, I'm done with combat for now, back to the story. Never mind, they actually introduced the skill tree after this, which I don't know what you want me to say about this. It's a skill tree. You unlock new skills. moving on. This is the part of the video where I ask you guys to kindly like and subscribe because this is easily the biggest project I've ever worked on. I've put many hours into it and I would really appreciate it because your support means I can do more of these videos and I really like doing them. And in the comment section, how about you tell me what you think of Expedition 33, if you've played it, or what you think of it so far through this video. And back to that. The duo keeps exploring the world and eventually discovers a journal from a previous expedition, which is one of my favorite parts of this game. It's just really interesting thinking about the past expeditions and what their strategies were for surviving this world. Expedition 60 is probably the most interesting one because they were one of the most successful expeditions. They were able to reach the Paintress's monolith, but how did they do this? Well, their entire game plan was to get as buff as possible and fight completely naked so they could move very fast. And it worked out pretty well, I guess. During this scene, the two drop a quote that I think encompasses the expeditions perfectly.
Learn from the ones who came before.
And lay the trail for the ones who come after.
After that, the two keep exploring, finding their way to the Indigo Tree, which is the expeditioner's rendezvous. And then we find a survivor, Leo, who seems to be running from something, and that something absolutely destroys him. We are then thrown into our first boss fight against Anivik, which is a cool boss, but nothing interesting. After they defeat the boss, Lune quickly says how they need to keep moving, not even batting an eye at the fact one of their friends was just murdered in front of them. Gustav is clearly sorrowful, but follows Lune. Gustav and Lune then finally make it to the Indigo Tree, and nobody else is there. This indicates either there are no survivors, or they haven't made it to the tree yet. The curious thing, however, is there's a message on the tree that says someone took Mael to a different location. Lune states how it sounds like an expeditioner's message, but it isn't signed. Who would go to the meeting place, presumably with Mael, then write a message and then leave the location? It's all very suspicious, and Lune doesn't trust it, while Gustav quickly makes his decision to follow the message. If there is any hope of finding Mael, he will take it. Lune now has to make the tough decision of whether to stay at the tree and wait for survivors, or go with Gustav. She chooses the latter. Following this, we see our first instance of the open world in this game. It opens up a lot of side paths and areas that can keep the player occupied for hours. But with this open world, it also introduces another very important aspect, camping. Camping is used to let the characters upgrade their weapons and their pictos. But what I think is my favorite part of camping is the character building. We get a lot of character interactions, and I'll try my best to show the important ones. But during this scene, Gustav and Lune get into a very heated argument about ending the mission.
We have a mission!
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Lune! What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me, what are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the Paintress, just the three of us? My gun and your sparks?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When one falls. Not if. When. We knew not all of us would make it. But we continue. As long as even one of us stands, our fight is not over.
But I'm not afraid to fight, it's just Mael,
Mael swore the same oath.
I know that!
She chose her life. You and I... Come on, we always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that? Do you?
I hope I do.
Gustav is eventually convinced that they can't end the mission now and must continue. After that, we make it to one of the most beautiful areas in the whole game, Flying Waters, which is just a massive aquarium, and I love it. Everything is so bright and lively, and the music fits too. It's more subtle than the previous tracks, and I don't know if this sounds dumb, but the music feels like you're underwater. I can't explain it, but it just works. The two also find more corpses, which are from Expedition 68. Gustav explains how their boat was blown into the air by a storm and ended up here. This just serves as pure world building, and I love it. Eventually, after more exploring, the duo finds the door that was described in the message, the place where Mael should be. They both touch the door and it teleports them. Then the screen zooms out and shows that a figure had been watching them the whole time, presumably the person who left the message in the first place. We cut back to Gustav and Lune, who are now inside this massive manor, and eventually they find Mael in one of the bedrooms. The reunion between Gustav and Mael is very sweet, but this raises a lot of questions. Where are they? Why was Mael here? She says she doesn't remember how she got there. She says she just woke up in the manor with this creature called the Curator. He seems friendly enough. He is very important to the game, however, and I'll get into that later. As the group goes to leave, the Curator stops them. He wants to train the group. He does this by teaching the player a new combat mechanic, jumping. From now on in the game, an enemy might have an attack that requires you to press the jump button in order to dodge it. This serves to make the combat more interactive. I really enjoy this because it keeps the battling fresh while not overwhelming the player with buttons. We are also shown Mael's fighting mechanics. Stances. Every time Mael uses a skill, it switches her to a different stance, and all of them have different uses. Offensive stance deals more damage, but you take more. Defensive, you take less damage, and virtuous, which gives you a staggering 200% damage boost. This mechanic is also really good because you can't stay on the same stance 2 turns in a row, so the player has to always be switching stances throughout the fight. After they leave the manor, a huge rumbling occurs, and out comes this cute little guy called Noko, who is a Gestrel, and if you remember, these Gestrels were foreshadowed back in Lumiere. Gestrels are the merchants in this game, and they take chroma as currency. Why? I don't know. Noko also mentions that there is a sea in between them and the Paintress, so they need to find a way to cross it. Noko says that his chief, Golgra, knows a solution, so the group decides to go to the Gestrel village. While making their way through flying waters, the group finds this sea of flowers, one in particular standing out, a rose, just like the one Gustav gave to Sophie, reminding him of who he lost, but at the same time reminding him of who he's fighting for. Well, no time to get sentimental because boss fight time. This boss is named Goblu, and what makes him interesting is that he spawns in these flowers that the player needs to shoot using free aim, because if you don't, then Goblu gets attack and defense boosts. This mechanic is great because the player has to decide whether to use AP to shoot the flowers or use a skill. And when we defeat Goblu, he becomes docile. It seems as though he only gets aggressive if we mess with the flowers. Mael even tries to interact with Goblu, but he ends up jumping away because Gustav decided to go American on him. After that, Mael has a nightmare which is entirely black and white and shows a battlefield with a man standing there with blood all over his face. It also shows Mael screaming in pure agony with the Paintress in the distance. Following that, Gustav once again throws a rock into nothingness. He seems to really enjoy that. Then both him and Mael share a really sweet and somber conversation.
You know, that's the insidious thing about the Gommage. It's predictable, almost gentle. It makes Lumiere complacent and accepting, but the Gommage is equally violent than death. Death is just as final.
I've been having nightmares.
Yeah, me too. Look, if death approaches, I want you to run. No, promise me. Run. Especially if we meet the man from the beach. We can't face him. You see him, you run.
Only if you do the same.
Oh, I'm running as soon as I see a strand of white hair, trust me. You won't even see me, I'm running so fast.
Oh, please, you're an old man. I can outrun you any day.
Yeah, right. There was a time when 30 was young, you know?
Sure.
Now I can finally explain what makes the Curator so important. He shows up at the camp, and his use is to upgrade your weapons, Pictos/Lumina, and your tints, which are the items you use in combat for healing and revives. To end the night off, Gustav and Lune talk about the mission and drop some more inspirational quotes.
We can't bring anyone back. But I thought we can keep their spirit alive by pushing forward. And at least there's 3 of us now. The mission hasn't changed.
Tomorrow comes.
Tomorrow comes.
The group now enters a new area, the Ancient Sanctuary, which is just a big red forest. And while the red is a nice change of pace from Flying Waters, it gets old pretty fast. I just feel like this place could have looked so much nicer if they just added a few different colors, even different shades of red. The music here also shows a tonal shift from the other areas. Since the Jestrels live here, you already know the music is going to get more intense and wacky. One track in particular, Bonsai Clearing, gives off kind of a tribal musical vibe, which fits the Jestrels who seem to follow tribal culture. This guy puts it really well. My favorite part is when Claire said, "It's clearing time." Absolute cinema. One of the first things we can do in the Ancient Sanctuary is talk to this young boy, who seems to be a fading spirit with an incomplete memory. He tries to invoke the names of people in his mind, but can't seem to remember. After speaking with the boy, the group can fight this enemy known as a Patonk. These fights are really fun because the player only has a certain amount of turns before the Patonk flees the battle. But if you're able to beat the Patonk, it usually drops some really good rewards. It's super stressful trying to calculate how to do as much damage as possible with the limited amount of time you have, so it's very entertaining. The group then walks through the endless sea of red, and eventually an alarm is heard, yelling, "Nevron alert!" The sound is really funny because it sounds like it's some dude yelling through a toilet paper roll into a microphone.
Who did?
As you could have guessed, the Jestrels think that the group are Nevrons, so they promptly send out one of their fierce warriors, the robust Sakapatat, which is a pretty easy fight, and after you defeat the creature, it turns back into a Jestral. He's pretty upset, however, because the Sakapatat are supposed to be. This Jestral in particular finds an interest in Gustav's robot arm, saying that he'll lead the group to his village in return for the arm. Mael instead proposes Gustav make him an even better arm, which is a complete lie and he never does that. Nonetheless, the Jestral still leads them to the village and the group has to fight more Sakapatats. I think I should mention now that Sakapatat is a play on some French words meaning sack of potatoes, which, yeah, sounds about right. Nearing the end of the trip, the group is once again attacked by a Sakapatat, but this is the ultimate Sakapatat, who seems like a very menacing sack of potatoes. What I love most about this boss is the secret weak spot. If you use your free aim shots correctly, you can successfully break off the boss's left shoulder, removing his shield, which is the most tedious part of the fight. It's secrets like this that make me appreciate a boss much more because you feel smart if you figure out the weak spot. Now I know it looks pretty obvious that you're supposed to shoot there, but I didn't figure that out when I played, so shut up. They finally make it to the Jestral village, and wow, this place has such a nice vibe to it. It's just so funny seeing all these silly guys with their goofy voices, and for the first time the music gets more upbeat and exciting, further proving the grooviness of the Jestrals. Not to mention they have a full-fledged casino, which shows how the Jestrals understand the true source of happiness in life. After betting all of our chroma on red and promptly losing all of it, the group talks to the village chief Golgra, asking how to get across the sea. She tells them that a mystical being known as Eskie could help us cross the water. Eskie, like the Jestrals, was another legend inside of Lumiere that nobody was for sure even exists, and now we need his help to reach the Paintress. The group will need a password to reach Eskie, however, and Golgra won't give them the password unless they prove their strength, because if they are too weak, then Eskie could eat them? I don't really know. Golgra says that the only way to prove they are strong enough is to win the legendary tournament, which is only for the hardcore fighters. This, of course, is all a lie because, come on, it's Jestrals we're fighting. The last fight, however, is against this strange new mysterious warrior, and actually could raise a challenge. As we raise our weapons for this intense combat, we see someone run and jump into the arena. It's Ciel, another expeditioner. She survived the white-haired man, and has apparently been here the whole time. Well, no time for catching up, because we still have a show to put on. After the fight, however, the group is finally able to catch up, and Ciel explains how she got there. She then promptly asks how they ended up there, and Gustav is about to trauma dump about his attempted suicide on everyone.
I woke up next to a waterfall and...
We can talk later. Let's get back to Golgra.
No time to lose.
It's moments like this that really remind me how this game isn't just a mission, but a journey. A journey of a group of friends that no matter how important their mission is, they're still people who can make jokes and laugh. It makes them feel real, which is exactly what good character building is meant to do. It's here where we learn about Ciel's combat mechanic, Foretell. Foretell is not my favorite mechanic, but it's still pretty interesting. So, Ciel has two different types of skills, Sun and Moon skills. Sun skills are ones that apply Foretell, so next turn you can use a Moon skill that consumes the Foretell to do extra damage. Then after this, Ciel goes into Twilight mode, which means she gets a damage boost and allows her to apply more Foretell so she can do even more damage. This system seems really good, but when I used it, I found myself just using the same skills over and over again in the same order, which made it boring. I do have a soft spot for it, however, because I found this really good weapon early on that allowed me to always apply the max amount of Foretell, meaning I was able to do a ton of damage. The downside was taking double damage myself, but hey, who's looking at that? All I see is big damage number, which make me brain happy. The group makes it back to Golgra, who is impressed by our super awesome skills, and tells us that the password is "Get out of my way," which we probably could have guessed. But as the group goes to leave the village, they enter down this dark alley, and two Gestrels attempt to mug us. Talk about some really bad targets to pick. So yeah, we brutally murder them, and it will be chalked up as self-defense. Back at the camp, the group is talking about getting to meet Esquier, and suddenly, Maëlle is transported into another one of her nightmares. But this one seems more lucid. There's a white-haired girl in front of Maëlle, then the white-haired man appears behind her, and we finally get to hear him speak.
Alicia, I told you to stay home. It's not good for you to see this.
He then says some cryptic stuff about how this is all Maëlle's fault and she should just go home. But when Maëlle pulls out her weapon, she suddenly snaps back to reality. Oop, there goes gravity. Such a stupid line. No one else saw the people, and the other members of the group start comforting Maëlle. This scene really shows the nature of our characters. Gustav and Ciel want Maëlle to calm down and rest, recognizing the trauma on her face, while Lune keeps prying for information due to her cold, unrelenting curiosity for the answers to this world. This dichotomy between Lune's information-focused brain as opposed to the other's emotion-focused brains will be seen throughout the rest of the game. The group then enters Esquier's nest, where a bodyguard is standing in front of the entrance. Golgra told them that they need to yell the password as loud as they can, so Gustav just completely belts it out at him.
Get out of my way!
And immediately feels bad about it. Well, this startles the Gestrel, but apparently Golgra never told him the password, so we're allowed to just walk through. Gustav then attempts to apologize to the Gestrel, but Maëlle informs him their memory lasts for about a minute, so there's not really a point to. Now it's time to finally meet Esquier, and right off the bat you can tell this is a fun, lovable guy. His voice is also very strange, but it really grew on me as I played through the game.
You finally come to learn to swim?
What is curious is that Esquier seems to have already met Ciel before, because he knew she doesn't like water. The group asks if he can help them cross the sea, but Esquier says that he needs his rock Flory to be able to have the strength to do so. So now we have to make the super long and treacherous journey to the room next door, where the evil Francois has taken the rock. So we walk over to him, and it turns out that Francois is just a really mean turtle.
Esquier! Stop sending hooligans over here!
Stop being a meanie. They're nice humans.
Then keep them on your side of the caves!
Now we have to fight Francois for the rock, and as you could have guessed, this fight isn't difficult at all. Francois does, however, have the strongest ice attack ever, which is pretty intimidating. We then get the rock and give it to Esquier, who informs us that the rock isn't Flory. It turns out the real Flory is at this place called Stonewave Cliffs. Esquier also says that if we can find all of his missing rocks, then he will be able to do more things than swim, like fly. We then see another one of Mael's nightmares, and there is way too much going on, so I'll just let it play out. Gustav and Mael then have a really nice conversation while throwing rocks, which seems to be their bonding mechanism.
I hate it too. Things we don't understand. They just make us feel small and powerless. But it helps, you know, to focus on the things I do understand, on the people I care about and who care about me. And, you know, now I feel a little less lost, because at least we're lost together. What? What? Stop it. Too cheesy? No. Well, if it makes you feel better, I was even more lost when I was 16.
I heard that was because you were only thinking about girls.
Yep, but guess what? The girls weren't thinking about me at all.
I believe that.
Yeah.
The night ends off with another scene of the white-haired woman, Alicia, and the white-haired man. Alicia is saying a bunch of poetry that I don't think I'm smart enough to decipher, but one line she repeats a few times that seems pretty important.
I envy them. Those who can't see. Those who know not. That they are not a fresh dawn in their playground. While we live in shadows. Swimming in ink. Those who know not. That they are not. Do you know? We are fellows. Those who know not that they are not.
The group makes it to Stonewave Cliffs, and they find a broken down Ferris wheel. Gustav then informs us about how Expedition 50 built a massive wheel to travel the continent. This is a terrible idea that I'm not surprised failed, but it's also one of those little nuggets of world building that I just love. Stonewave Cliffs is visually what you'd expect it to be, a bunch of gray walls, but the music really stands out to me. One piece in particular, Sandfall, I see what you did there, is this really grandiose orchestral piece that I think is meant to represent how the group's journey is actually starting to become a reality. It's almost like this is the second starting point of the adventure. The group is finally getting back on their feet and are ready to face the Paintress. The group heads through Stonewave Cliffs and meets the first big boss of the game, Lamp Master. I love this boss fight. Firstly, the track is really solid. It has this really quick violin that really represents the chaos of this creature and the fight in general. There are also some really creepy female vocals in the background that fit really well. The fight is also just really good. It adds all of the combat mechanics into one. In Phase 2, the boss has many long combos, it has a jump attack, and it has these lamps that you have to shoot in the correct order so the boss doesn't use this really big light sword attack. The group defeats the Lamp Master and find Flory, meaning they can finally cross the sea. Gustav and Mael choose a final rock to throw to celebrate.
Like I always say, it's not about the rock. It's more about...
Gustav.
Run.
Run. Please run.
The white-haired man is back, and Gustav puts up his last fight. The man then goes to finish off Mael.
It's been a while.
It's the man from the nightmares. He saved Mael, but he wasn't quick enough to save Gustav.
Stay out of this. You chose to walk away. You don't get to come back now and interfere.
The stranger and the white-haired man clearly have a history together. The white-haired man claims that all he wants is his family back, but the stranger says,
"It's not your family."
All very confusing lines that don't make sense right now.
You set us down this path. But are you ready for the consequences?
She'll never paint again.
Back at the camp, Mael starts to grieve and is comforted by a big warm hug from Esquier. Ciel and Lune sit by the fire, and Lune's mind immediately starts thinking about the mission, probably as a coping mechanism to deal with Gustav's death. Then the stranger enters the camp.
Ciel,
This seemed important. If you want to reach the monolith, the best path is through the quarry up north.
who are you?
And where did you get that expedition uniform?
Strange way to say thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't save your friend. I'm wearing an expedition uniform because I, too, am an expeditioner.
What? What do you mean you're an...
I've never seen you before.
First expedition. Expedition Zero.
Expedition Zero. But how are you alive and not...
Old? I don't know exactly, but some of us stopped aging and were not affected by the Gamage.
Some of you? Like the man on the cliff?
Anwar, our commander.
Why? Why did he massacre our team?
How could he turn on his own people?
He believes his immortality is a gift from the Paintress. Killing her would kill him too, and he enjoys living forever.
And you don't?
Burying everyone you know while you live on can weigh you down a bit. I couldn't help your friend, but perhaps I can help you.
You want to join us?
If you don't mind the company. Yes.
So, if I want to kill Renoir, I have to kill the Paintress first. What's your name?
Versa.
Playing as Verso now, we learn that he and Esquier are friends, both joking around like old buddies. This conversation quickly takes a mysterious tone as Verso asks Esquier if he's told the expedition about you-know-what. So clearly Verso isn't telling us everything. The next morning arrives and it cuts to Mael throwing rocks once again, trying to pretend that Gustav is still with her. Verso appears and tries to offer condolences, but Mael is tired of it after losing so many people in her life. Verso recognizes her pain and leaves Gustav's journal for her. The expedition then ends up in a place known as the Forgotten Battlefield. Dead expeditioners are piled up everywhere. Probably thousands of dead bodies lay here, waiting for those who come after. Mael speaks up and asks if they can bury Gustav. Verso says he knows a nice place past the battlefield. An enemy then appears, leading us to learn a new combat mechanic, gradient attacks. These are really big moves that an enemy can do that requires the player to press a new button to block. These are very satisfying, but my problem is the window to parry is way too big, leading to the attack feeling like it isn't a threat. Anyways, we also learn about Verso's fighting mechanic, Perfection. This is a meter that builds up the more damage and parrying Verso performs. The higher the rank, the more damage Verso's attacks do. However, he does drop down a rank every time he takes damage, so that's why it's called Perfection. Why did I write that? That's obvious. The expedition eventually makes it to the bridge that leaves the battlefield, and Mael is clearly out of it. Verso asks if she's okay, and it's here where her anger hits a boiling point.
Holding up. Everywhere we go, just death. Death and more death. Everywhere we go, just death. I don't want to see that anymore.
Look, Mael,
I thought you would understand. You said you spent your immortality burying the people around you. Doesn't any of this bother you? And you. Gustav's dead. How can you keep going like nothing happened?
We need to continue.
Why do
Mael. You know what we must do. When one falls, come on.
This is the duelist fight, which is probably one of the coolest looking bosses we've seen so far. The attacks are smooth and quick, and in his second phase, he pulls out another sword, which just maximizes his aura farming. After defeating the duelist, the expedition finds the spot Verso was talking about to bury Gustav. We then get a scene that even rewatching it almost makes me cry.
Could you? I wish we could.
Rest easy, Gustav.
I'll finish what you started. The Paintress, Renoir, they will pay.
No more dome. Just open skies.
I'll save them, Gustav. Emma, your apprentices, everyone.
You can leave it to us. You were always there for me.
I'll save them.
Say hi to Soph for me, yeah?
We could never tell if you were my brother or my father. But to me, you were both. Best brother and father I've ever had.
When one falls, we continue.
Thanks for being my family. See you in the next life.
Returning back to camp, Verso lays out the game plan. They will go to a place called Monoko Station to recruit his old friend, then they will kill the Paintress's heart because that will remove a chroma force field surrounding her. Verso says that the heart is located within Old Lumiere, which is the part of Lumiere that was lost during the fracture. The group is surprised because they didn't even know if Old Lumiere still existed. Verso then says this.
I've traveled with many expeditions. I was with the 58th when we found Old Lumiere. But Renoir erased them before we could get further. And I don't know much more.
Verso and Mael also share a sweet moment where she inducts Verso into Expedition 33, coining it the Disaster Expedition. That seems a bit harsh. Other than 90% of everyone being dead, I would say it's going pretty well. The expedition eventually reaches the snowy area, and it's here where we find Minoko's station. And we find Verso's friend, aptly named Minoko, who is actually a gestural that can speak English. He uses this power of speech to rizz up the women.
Ladies, could I interest you in a duel?
Definitely a gestural.
Anyways, the group fights Minoko, and we learn that he actually has the ability to turn into various Neverons. After defeating Minoko, Noko runs up, and we learn that Noko is Minoko's son. Holy crap, these names are confusing. Anyways, Noko says that there's an enemy outside, and it's here where Minoko teaches us our own gradient attacks, which are just really powerful attacks that build up throughout the battle, a very cool addition that really emphasizes the group's growing power. They defeat the Neveron, and Minoko demonstrates how he is able to transform into them, by stealing their feet. Never mind that. Verso and Minoko then have this very mysterious and funny conversation.
We're heading for Old Lumiere.
Okay, bye.
Hey, come on. Hey. Hey, look. I know we failed before, but look, you doofus. Don't you recognize her?
Of course I do.
Then you know what that means. This is our shot. It might be our only shot.
This is your only shot. Out of the question. I will never join you again.
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fighting.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
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 Yes, good.
Noko's coming too.
Oh, you are?
As a responsible parent, this is a superb idea. Let us go to Old Lumiere.
Something is special about Mael, we just don't know it yet. From Renoir speaking to her through her dreams and having an uncanny resemblance to the white-haired girl, something is definitely going on. We also learn how Minoko's fighting style works, which I like the least out of all the characters. Minoko's special mechanic is his bestial wheel, which rotates based on what skill you use. Minoko can then use the specific markings on the wheel to deal more damage with specific skills. It's not a bad mechanic, but it just didn't resonate with me. Eventually the group makes it to Old Lumiere, but they find a blockage. Minoko uses this as an opportunity to show off his strength to the ladies. Well, he fails miserably and ends up splitting the group up.
Minoko! Why the hell did you...
Sorry, I fucked up. I just wanted to show off.
We just have to regroup. The others should be fine. Verso said the heart is in the center of Old Lumiere, right?
Right. Okay, Minoko, stop crying. We have to move.
Yes, sorry.
While exploring, Luni and Ciel talk about how they don't trust Verso too much. They even ask Minoko questions about him, and he can't even give a straightforward answer. They then find a journal from Expedition 58, the one that Verso said he previously traveled with.
They were the ones that Verso was traveling with.
I believe so. They made it surprisingly far. An axon. Interesting. Verso is... Is this true?
Mael's with him.
We need to go. Now.
Verso would never harm her.
We now follow Mael and Verso, which very quickly takes on an ominous tone after learning that Verso isn't who he says he is. At one point, Verso literally just disappears without a trace, leaving Mael alone with Noko. Very strange behavior. Mael then finds this big manor by herself, and when she approaches the door, it opens, and we see what looks like a female version of the curator.
I knew you'd open the door for her.
This once again implies that Mael is more special than the others. Renoir and the white-haired girl also appear.
How many times must you hurt our family?
No, you don't get to lecture me on family.
Why do you refuse to see I am doing this for us? Yet you insist on rushing toward death. You're trying to stop the wrong cycle.
You're doing this for yourself.
Of course. It's easier for you to think that, isn't it? Easier to betray us if I'm the villain.
So move. I'm gonna fucking kill him.
You haven't told her the truth. Have you, son?
Sorry we're late. We were busy doing a bit of reading. Were you planning on sharing that this man, the man who murdered our team, is your father?
Family is not my favorite topic. Right, can we talk about this later? I'd really like for you all to survive this.
Now it is time to fight him, which is one of the best boss fights in the entire game. Just listen to this banger. Renoir also throws out some beautiful looking moves. One in particular, he just straight up vanishes your character, so they literally just disappear without a trace for the rest of the fight. After we finish the fight, Renoir goes for one massive chroma attack. It seems like everybody blocked it, but then we see that Noko is
broken.
Mael, however, takes this as an opportunity to attack Renoir once again.
Why can't you accept who you are?
Mael is then put in the black and white dream realm again, and she approaches the manor. The white-haired girl is there and finally removes her mask, revealing a burn scar. She then grabs Mael and shows her the manor burning and people screaming in the background. Mael asks for her name, but instead she enters the mansion and it disappears.
We're done. Where did it go? No. Alicia.
Fuck!
Verso says the name Alicia again, which I presume to be the white-haired girl, so that means he mixed up Mael with Alicia when blocking Renoir's attack. I mean, they do look similar, so there has to be a deeper meaning behind this. Back at camp, Lune confronts Verso about not telling them that Renoir is his father. He deflects this by saying that he cut ties with Renoir a long time ago. Ciel and Mael seem to forgive him, Mael even using Verso's "family is complicated" quote from earlier in the game. Lune then questions Minoko about the legend that Gestrals can reincarnate. He says that they can, but it will be a different Noko.
The one you knew is gone.
We learned why Verso was so upset about the manor disappearing. It was because the Paintress's heart was inside of it, essentially leaving the expedition with no way to reach the Paintress. However, Lune asks Verso about the journal she found earlier. She claimed that Expedition 58 said Verso knows another way through the barrier. Verso quickly shoots this down, saying it's a dead end. The group pushes further and even asks the curator how to do this. So, the only way the expedition can get through the barrier is to have the curator create a super powerful weapon, one that needs an enormous amount of pure chroma, and the only way to get that chroma is to get the heart of an Axon. Verso explains how Axons are these huge powerful creatures that are nearly impossible to kill, meaning this strategy is going to be very risky. Eventually he agrees and explains how we need to kill 2 Axons, one of them already being weakened by previous expeditions, so we should go there first. While still at the camp, Mael asks Verso whether the white-haired girl is his sister. She put 2 and 2 together, whatever. He says yes and confirms that her name is Alicia. She was in a fire a long time ago that damaged her face and throat, making her unable to speak. The expedition then sets off for the first Axon, Visage, who is characterized by having a bunch of masks of various emotions. The expedition then approaches Visage, who seems to be docile. Another masked creature appears and explains how Visage invites them into his chamber, which definitely feels like a trap. Before we enter it, however, there are other paths that lead to other mask bosses. These mask bosses weaken Visage, so it's good to defeat them. Once we do that, it's time for the big fight, which is another really good one. Parrying the massive attacks Visage uses is super satisfying. He uses different masks of even more emotions, making it look like Inside Out 2 in here. That was terrible. The expedition defeats Visage, and the masked creature from earlier shows up.
Great art is both window and mirror. Whether it's your mask or theirs.
Harmless, huh?
He's the real Axon.
Child, we all need masks, but how you use them.
So now it's time for the real fight, which honestly isn't that interesting. It's kind of a downgrade from the fight we had before. Once the Axon is almost defeated, it uses one last final attack.
We did it.
No, wait.
We all need masks.
This mask can't hurt me. Because it is me.
You okay? What happened?
Axon down. Let's bring this to the curator.
That was Verso, wasn't it? Renoir.
I don't know where else to put this, so I'm just going to do a character lore drop right now. Ciel lost both her husband and child, leading her to commit suicide by swimming away from Lumiere. It was revealed that Esquier actually brought her back to the island, and that's why they recognized each other, and also why Ciel hates water. Some people speculate that Ciel wasn't affected by the mask because she is the only one that acts like her true self. That's why she says the mask is her, because she isn't covering anything up. However, the other side of this can be true, in the fact that she embraces the mask she wears. Maybe she hates her life because her husband and child are dead, and is covering it up from everybody else. The expedition takes the heart to the curator, who won't accept it unless Mael presents it. It's a strange request, but once Mael does it, she sees Renoir for a split second. However, he's in different clothing. This obviously spooks Mael, but Verso blows it off as a hallucination. Following this, Mael is sitting next to Esquier when Verso shows up, and asks if he can play the piano. Earlier in the game, Verso expressed how his dream was to become a famous pianist, but clearly that never worked out. The two then start playing together, further strengthening their bond. Holy crap, Esquier's got some moves. Now it's time for the second Axon, Seren, who is definitely the better of the two. Her entire area is just a massive coliseum, and the music is super relaxing. The expedition finds Seren right away, but seem to be hypnotized by the dancing creatures around them. This is Seren's trick. She can alter people's emotions to manipulate them. The expedition is then broken out of their haze by Monoko, who is seemingly unaffected by Seren. One strange thing to mention is that Mael thinks her dancing feels familiar. The group then travels through the Colosseum and encounters some enemies. One of them is this massive boss called Tessir, who is a seamstress. They use their ability to weave enemies to attack the group, which is so cool. Not to mention that Tessir can also curse the group by putting a turn counter above their head that kills them if it reaches 0. This puts an insane amount of pressure to finish the fight as quickly as possible, which could completely change some people's playstyles. Oh my gosh, guys, look what expedition number it is. 6-7. There is another boss fight called Glissando, who isn't as cool as the previous boss, but that's pretty tough to beat. This boss uses the charm mechanic, which makes your own teammates attack you if not dealt with. Other than the boss also looking really cool, that's about everything interesting. Now it's time to actually fight Seren. Even walking up to her is just beautiful. Once again, Mael comments how she recognized Seren's dance, which is weird that it happened twice. The group then approaches Seren, and she manipulates their heads to see their deceased loved ones. Lune, it's her parents. Mael, it's Gustav. Ciel, it's her husband and child. Monoko, it's Noko. And oddly enough, Verso isn't shown a family member. Seren then drops the act and removes all the hallucinations, ready to fight. And let me tell you that this fight is absolutely beautiful. The music is amazing, the combat is once again these awesome giant attacks that shake the entire Colosseum. At one point in the fight, the final act begins, and everything goes dark, and Seren summons more enemies to fight the expedition. This is probably top 3 boss fights in the entire game. Just the vibes of it, man. Once Seren is nearly defeated, she goes for a final attack, and tries to hypnotize everyone in the group once again. But Lune is unaffected by the persuasion, and uses this as an opportunity to blast a massive chroma attack at Seren, killing her and giving the group their final Axon heart. Time for more character lore. Lune's parents were both scientists, and the reason that they had Lune was so that they could raise her to be their apprentice. That definitely sounds like child labor, but it makes sense when you die so young in this world. Her parents actually went on Expedition 46, and Lune's mom was killed by Seren. Some people think that is why Lune wasn't affected by Seren's hypnosis, but I think it was because of her nature. Think about it. The entire game she has been the cold, calculated type. Even when Gustav died, she didn't take time to grieve. I think her brain doesn't care enough about emotions to have been hypnotized by Seren. Back at camp, Mael gives the curator Seren's heart. Then she is once again thrown into the black and white dream zone. Mael sees the female curator and she freaks out, which snaps Mael back to the real world. This makes Mael super suspicious of the curator. He, however, is unaffected by this and creates the weapon to break the barrier, specifically made for Mael. Clearly, the curator is more important than what we first thought. The wait that they will be fighting the Paintress tomorrow starts to set in. Ciel then drops the bombshell that Esquier actually has wine inside of him that Verso was storing. This leads the group to start singing and dancing, but something is clearly bothering Verso. He goes off to a separate area where Alicia is. She hands him a letter and the two embrace. They are on different sides, but still recognize each other as siblings. Renoir then appears and starts trying to convince Verso not to go through with this.
Yet you're condemning her to die.
You brought him here.
I'm not here to fight. But my son, do you know what it means to disappear into nothingness? Have you thought through the consequences? Not just for you, or even me, but for them. Their memories, their dreams, their love for each other. Who really is the one painting death, and who paints life instead? We exist and we will exist for as long as she wants. You want to spoil what we've been given. Sometimes we paint the bars of our own prison. Your despair blinds you. You think you're ready to pay the price. But are you willing to let them pay the price for you?
May everything be decided before their very eyes. Between the bars of their prison. In the shadow of the monolith.
In the shadow of the monolith.
If all of what Renoir said is true, then defeating the Paintress might have bigger consequences than Verso is letting on. The next morning arrives and the expedition is ready. They make it to the barrier and Mael destroys it. Now it's time to finally defeat the Paintress. For Gustav, for all of them. Verso, however, has clear guilt across his face. They reach the Paintress and begin the fight, but it doesn't go according to plan. Their attacks seem to do nothing to her.
Ugh! Our attacks do nothing!
I don't understand. The gradient attack should work. Wait, Mael.
I don't think this is...
No.
Everybody okay?
Fuller, quickly.
What?
This might be our only chance.
Yeah. Okay.
The group then follows the female curator through this portal, which brings them inside the monolith. It's here where Mael says she can feel the real Paintress, above them, at the top of the monolith. This part of the game is really cool. You get to play through small sections of every area in the game. It's really neat reliving the previous areas you've been to for small sections. It's here in the monolith where the group can find a door back to the manor and find a journal entry from a woman named Aline. The journal makes no sense right now, so I'll explain it later. We also see multiple of the Paintress's memories when traversing. One of her teaching her children how to paint, one of a man that looks like Renoir sitting next to her and she gets up, one of her scolding a young girl, probably her daughter, and one of her teaching a young boy to play piano. So the Paintress seems to just be a human like everybody else, which makes her motive that much more confusing. The expedition makes it to the top, where Renoir confronts them. Him and Verso share some cryptic words about grief and how Renoir can't lose Verso again.
We're taking her down.
She's not the only one who grieves. The pain of losing you, she made me inherit it. Punishment, perhaps, for not being there when it mattered. I refuse to lose my son.
That son was a stranger.
But you're not. You're not.
You lost me years ago, and I lost you.
So you leave us no choice. Tell me, how are you different from her in doing this?
I'm tired.
So trust me. We are your family.
Family is complicated.
If saving you means losing you, then so be it.
We only need to incapacitate him.
We'll find a way to kill him.
This is easily my favorite boss fight of the entire game. Renoir's attacks during this are visually incredible and the whole atmosphere is amazing. But that's not what I love most. Oh my gosh, I love the song that plays so much. It's an 11-minute song called Une vie à ta mère that is an absolute banger. I'll translate the song later because even the lyrics are emotionally impactful. Once Renoir is at half health, what looks like a lion made out of pure chroma appears. The lion then heals Renoir and transforms him into some kind of chroma creation. This makes the fight even more of a visual spectacle, and I'm all for it. Renoir is eventually defeated and tries desperately to get Verso to side with him. When Verso disagrees, Renoir exclaims,
Then let us celebrate the second destruction of the Descendre family! At long last, we meet. This is all you have left of your son. Destroying it won't bring your wife back. It will only destroy the last tie you have to each other.
Mael and the Curator work together to finally gommage Renoir. But what did his final words mean? Was he implying that Verso is the Curator's son? And who is the Curator's wife? And why was Mael able to gommage Renoir? All very confusing questions, but now it's time to defeat the Paintress once and for all.
She's through that.
Yeah. Behind this door is the future of Lumiere. What every expedition has worked towards. I have trust in us.
Once the expedition reaches the top, we find the Paintress, who is the female Curator from earlier. So she must be the wife Renoir was referencing. The Paintress then calls Mael Alicia, just like Verso did, and the group puts together that Alicia is actually her daughter. This means that the Paintress is Verso's mom too, and Renoir's wife? But that means she's the wife to both Renoir and the Curator. Well, the Paintress then gets overwhelmed and thinks she's being tricked.
This is another trick. She's not Alicia. You are not my Verso.
No. Verso's dead.
No. You are his creations, not mine. You will not take this canvas from me.
This is what we created the expeditions for.
Tomorrow comes.
The beginning of this fight is nothing special, honestly. The background is cool, but the Paintress's attacks aren't all that. It really ramps up when she summons the fake Paintress from earlier to fight, so the group has to use Esquier to fly into the sky. The attacks from the Paintress here are amazing because she is literally a god in this world, so she can practically do whatever she wants. One move literally says that she rips reality apart, which is a crazy line. The Paintress is taken down and phase 3 begins, but this one is actually really sad because the Paintress doesn't fight back. Instead, she heals and protects the expeditioners while they are killing her, seemingly trying to find mercy within them. But no mercy is given because the expeditioners know how important it is to complete their mission.
Rest now. Things will be better soon.
Alicia.
She's gone.
It's done. You're free. You are all free.
Is this real?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Gustav's watching over us. Hey, come. Wanna plant it?
Though presumably, there'll be no one coming after, right?
It's symbolic.
Heading back to Lumiere, the expedition are praised as heroes. Mael informs Emma and Gustav's apprentices that he didn't make it. A small sacrifice to pay in the big picture, but one that still weighs on us. The scene ends with Verso sitting on the docks when he decides to read the letter from Alicia, which was actually meant for Mael.
Brother, I tire of the conflicts and deceptions that plague our family and theirs. So, I entrust you with this letter. Whether you give it to her is up to you. I'm at peace with what's to come. When the time comes, I hope you will be too. Maya, it's a strange feeling watching you with my brother, laughing and smiling, without the scars or the memories that afflict me. Alicia, as she was meant to be, not this painted version that I am. My family, a facsimile of yours, and this world, a mirror, painted by your mother, the paintress, to stave off her grief. Seeing your expedition through would plunge us all into the abyss. For in ridding the world of the paintress, you'd lose the sole force standing against the one who would erase us, the one who invokes the flowers of the Gamash. An act of love, for he does love her. Your father. On her monolith, she paints a warning for us all, of the few she can save as her power wanes. We all wish for our families to thrive. Your family, however, believes only one can survive. But perhaps you'll find another way. You who have lived amongst us, perhaps you differ from your father and your sister, as I differ from mine. Your mother paints life, whilst your father, death. What will you paint?
A big explosion occurs by the monolith, then everyone starts to gomage. Ciel, Lune, Mael, everyone. This seems to be the consequence of defeating the Paintress, the one that Verso knew about. A black and white dream of Verso in a burning manor is also shown. Then we cut to an epilogue for Alicia, who now has red hair like Mael. Alicia is then called down by a woman named Clea. Once she makes it down there, we learn that Clea is her sister, and they have a conversation that puts many things together. Well, it's kind of a one-way conversation because Alicia can't speak, but whatever.
Our parents are quite the stubborn pair. They're still fighting each other inside the canvas. He has her imprisoned at the top of the monolith, and she has him trapped beneath. It's a stalemate. They've spent longer than this in other canvases. It's not that dire. Yes, I know. Maman's been in there for quite a while already. Renoir is wasting time in there, trying to help someone who doesn't want his help. We have more urgent matters to attend to. You're as bad as Aline. He's not Verso. He's a painted copy built from our mother's memories. You do well to remember that. Help her do what? Run away and hide? She's already succeeded there. Honestly, if Aline wants to numb herself in the canvas, then let her. Grief is no excuse. We're all grieving. I don't have time to coddle her. And before Verso died, she would have said the same. I already have. Aline is more skilled than Renoir, but I've tipped the scales in his favor. Yes, it's enough. It's just a matter of time. As she weakens, Renoir is able to erase her oldest creations, with the exception of her obscene fake family. She's made them immortal, but luckily, they're also quite useless. I need you to take care of yourself while I'm gone. Don't be naive. The world doesn't stop simply because our family is in mourning. You will do nothing. You're too weak to do anything useful. You'd be a liability. The writers used you against us once before. They won't hesitate to use you again. And I can't promise that I'll make the same choice Verso made. Verso traded his life for yours. I both love and hate him for that. The damn fool. If you really want to be useful, then enter the canvas and help Renoir. I need him back here sooner rather than later. I'll fight this war alone if I have to, but I'd really rather not. Lest you forget, the only reason those two are in there is because your naivety cost Verso his life.
If we bring Maman out of the canvas, she'll try to return. We must hide the canvas.
Well reasoned. And such a clever hiding spot you've chosen. She'll still find it, but I'm impressed. This only truly ends if you destroy the canvas. And that means stopping the final sliver of Verso's soul from painting. See? It wasn't so hard. Wait, that's Aline's chroma. Stay calm. Don't let it take control of you. Calm, Alicia, or it'll paint over you. What an auspicious start. Well, you're about to be reborn in this world as one of Aline's creations. Have fun.
She's a girl. She's a girl. She's beautiful. What a lovely voice. My love, did you decide on a name?
Yes. Oh, my darling girl. We have precious little time together. You'll never know us. But I want you to know that you are loved. I want you to know you're not alone. You will always be the beautiful child I held in my arms. You will smile the brightest smile. You will cry iridescent tears. You will know love, and you will know pain. You will know loss all too well, because we live in an unforgiving world. But you are strong, and you will survive. You will struggle, and you will learn. You'll find people to call your own, and you will shine as their guiding light. For you will change the world, and the people around you. You'll forever be our princess. I have decided on her name. And her name will be Maëlle.
I think it's about time that I explain everything, so strap in because this will completely flip your perspective of this game. Expedition 33 story starts with one family, the Desange family, consisting of father, Renoir, mother, Aline, daughters, Clea and Alicia, and son, Verso. Their family are known as painters, who are people that have the ability to create other worlds within a canvas. Think like the paintings in Super Mario 64. Every member of the Desange family has the ability to create their own fantastical worlds outside of reality. The beginning point of this story is when Alicia is somehow tricked by a rival faction known as the Riders. This leads to a fire that severely burns her and kills Verso, who died saving her. That's why there was so many different scenes of Verso burning in a manner. It was all foreshadowing to this. This death of Verso of course brought substantial grief upon the family, but one of them who couldn't stand the grief was the mother, Alina, who in her journal I mentioned earlier expresses her regrets.
His little grin. So proud of his latest creation. But at least those memories remain. What hurts more are the memories unmade. The conversations we'll never have. The time we'll never spend.
She also goes on to talk about the only source of happiness that staves off her grief.
I know what he'll say. But this is the first time I've felt any surcease. For a few moments a day, my heart beats again.
The source she is talking about is a canvas that Verso painted when he was a young boy. It's a world that still has some of his soul left within it, and it makes Aline feel closer to him. This canvas that Verso painted is none other than the world that we play in Expedition 33. That's right, this entire game has been within a fictional world created by Verso. So Lumiere, Esquier, Monoko, the Gestrals, all of them were painted by Verso when he was a child. All of them are a false reality. Aline would go inside this canvas to feel closer to Verso, to help with her grief, but this got out of control. She would stay in the canvas for longer and longer periods of time, which is extremely dangerous because staying within a canvas for a prolonged period of time literally consumes the painter and inevitably kills them. Aline eventually gave up and decided to just stay in the canvas permanently. And the longer she stayed, the more she changed. She started to go crazy and lose herself. Eventually her body transformed into something barely human, something special, something powerful. Aline eventually turned into the Paintress. Aline's grief kept spiraling and even caused her to paint a whole new family within the canvas. So the Renoir, Alicia, and Verso that we know are all painted creatures created by Aline to replicate her family. That's why Painted Renoir protected the Paintress so vigorously. It was because that's how Aline made him. And that's why Verso wanted to kill the Paintress. He recognized that his mom was only inside the canvas to run away from her grief of the real Verso's death. He was saving her. The real Renoir also wanted Aline to leave the canvas. He recognized that she was killing herself with it, and that she would waste her life away living within this false reality. So Renoir decided to go inside the canvas and try to kick her out of it. I'm sure some of you may have guessed this by now, but yes, the curator is the real Renoir. That's why he was helping us the whole time. That's who Mael saw when presenting the Axon Heart. Not painted Renoir, but the real Renoir. Renoir's method of making Aline leave the canvas was by taking away her control of the chroma. He and Clea did this by creating the Nevrons and Axons. Clea created the Nevrons, and Renoir created the Axons. The Axons were actually meant to represent different members of the Desange family. Visage represents Verso because he was always trying to hide his true emotions behind a mask, and Seren was meant to represent Aline. That's why Mael felt she recognized Seren's dancing. By creating these creatures, Clea and Renoir were storing chroma within them, preventing Aline from accessing it. This in turn weakened her power within the canvas. This dwindling of the Paintress's power is what invokes the Gommage. It isn't the Paintress doing it, it's the real Renoir, in an attempt to get Aline to stop feeling attached to this world. Just as Painted Alicia's letter said,
Your mother paints life, whilst your father, death.
The marker on the monolith isn't a warning of who the Paintress is going to kill, it's a warning of who Renoir is going to kill. So by killing the Paintress, there was nobody left to stop Renoir from erasing the canvas. That's why everybody was gommaged in Lumiere. Verso knew this. He knew that killing the Paintress would allow Renoir to kill everyone within the canvas, but he accepted this. He recognized this as a false world and just wanted to save Aline. Going back to earlier, I'm going to translate the song that played during Renoir's final fight. Big thanks to Angsai for this translation video because believe it or not, I don't speak French. So to get the basis of this song, there are male and female singers. The females speak for Aline and the males speak for Renoir, and this song portrays an argument between both of them. Both of them want the other one to leave. Aline wants to be left in the canvas that can suppress her grief, and Renoir wants to save Aline from herself. Renoir recognizes that a piece of Verso is still within the gold and colors of the canvas, but he knows that the small piece of Verso in the canvas is not worth Aline's life. Them both saying I love you completely breaks me. Aline and Renoir both recognize that the canvas is creating a rift between them, but Aline simply doesn't have the strength to destroy it, no matter how much she still loves Renoir. This line exemplifies how much pain Aline is going through. Everything she sees reminds her of Verso. This persistence of remembrance of the son she lost must have been torture, leading her to make the decisions she did. That was only about half the song, but not many lyrics after that. I highly recommend you listen to the whole thing because it just gets better and better as it goes on. I'm gonna link the translation video in the description if you want to go check that out. As you saw earlier, when Alicia entered the canvas, Aline took control of her and turned Alicia into one of her creations, Mael. That's why Mael is so special. That's why Verso asked if Monoko recognized her. That's why Verso accidentally called her Alicia, because she is Alicia, a girl who got her brother killed and just wants her family to heal. This brings us into Act 3. Act 3 begins with Mael, now rocking white hair, traversing through an empty, cold Lumiere. She eventually spots Verso and sits down next to him, and the two share a conversation that further explains the story if you're still confused.
Alicia.
Actually, I prefer Mael.
I think I do too. But I'm not really Verso, and you're not really Mael, are you?
You're not Verso, no. You look and sound just like him, but you're you. I'm still Mael, though. You should have helped me remember.
Yeah, I wanted to, but I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too. If I'd listened to Mama, if I hadn't trusted the writers, Verso would still be alive, and you
Wouldn't exist.
wouldn't be caught in the middle. Mama did a terrible thing, painting you into Verso's canvas, giving you his memories, pretending the fire only took me. But I'm glad you exist.
Your father was right to erase everyone. It's better this way.
Better for who? Verso would never have wanted his canvas gone. He loved Esquier and his gestrels and Grandis.
It was killing our mother. Staying here so long in a make-believe world with her make-believe family.
It's not make-believe. It's not. You're not to me. Papa's here. He'll help me fix Lumiere.
Will he?
Maman painted a rather unflattering portrait of him. He's much warmer than the Renoir, you know.
I bet.
Mael has faith that Renoir will not destroy the canvas. She did hide it from Aline, so she won't be able to re-enter it, leaving no reason to destroy it. The two then find the curator / Renoir.
Papa!
Alicia. You're safe. I thought I told you to stay home.
Technically, my body's at home.
Some of Eline's finest work. I regret that it caused you so much pain. What Aline did was unfair to you most of all. Please, accept the Descendre family's apologies. I know it seems absurd to offer oblivion as recompense, but perhaps that's the outcome we both desire.
What?
I'm proud of you. Getting your mother out of the canvas was not easy. Once we erase the canvas, we won't have to worry anymore.
But she's home now. Why?
You know your mother. Verso painted this canvas. It contains a piece of his soul. She'll never willingly part with it.
No.
For the sake of the living, we must part with the dead.
No, Papa. See, I hid the canvas.
She will always find it. This is our only opportunity, while she's too sick from her prolonged descent into the canvas to return.
No. Papa. Papa, please. This is Verso's only canvas. You can't destroy the last piece of him that we have. This is my home now. You can't just decide...
Your home? After all that with your mother, you want to stay?
You know how little remains of my life outside.
Alicia, you'll die. You've already been here longer than you should.
But...
No. Look at me, I said no. I am not letting my daughter risk her life. Alicia.
I'm not, Mum. I'm not going to lose myself if I stay.
I know full well you will, and I am not doing this again!
No! What are you...
It's time to go home.
Renoir then tries to gommage Verso, but Maëlle prevents it with her painter's powers, and the two use Esquier to escape. Renoir sees the danger in this painting. He knows that Maëlle will lose herself within it, just like Aline, further repeating the cycle. Back at camp, Maëlle struggles to paint Ciel and Lune back. Verso helps her by saying,
Painting isn't about verisimilitude, it's about essence. Truth of who they are. Your father made the axles, right?
She who plays with wonder, he who guards truth with lies.
They're the essence of your mother and your brother.
Maëlle then brings the two back, and they are understandably confused. Maëlle explains everything to them, and honestly, if I learned that my entire reality was nothing but a simulation, I would be pretty freaked out too. Good thing that is entirely impossible, right? 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 Anyways, they all come up with a plan to defeat Renoir. Maëlle needs Chroma, but Renoir controls all of it. Lune, however, knows where some is stored, within the dead expeditioners, making all of their sacrifices not in vain, for those who come after. Oddly enough, Verso tries to convince Maëlle to leave the canvas. He seems to be the only one able to see the whole picture. The expedition then traverses through everywhere we've explored, collecting Chroma. It ends with this hard as fuck scene of all the dead expeditioners behind them. The final expedition. The greatest expedition. The expedition reaches Lumiere, which is roaming with Renoir's Nevrons, and somehow they have a cutscene harder than the last one.
Tomorrow comes.
The expedition runs through Lumiere, being protected by the previous expeditioners. They even travel through the garden where the game began, which is a nice little touch. They finally reach Renoir and are ready to end this. I'm just gonna let this entire cutscene play because my words won't do it justice. It's about 5 minutes long, so skip it if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Papa?
Alicia.
Please, I just want you to understand what this canvas means to me.
I do understand. I know how powerful and intoxicating it is. How deeply attached we can become to the worlds we pour our hearts and souls into. I was enthralled, and it nearly killed me.
It doesn't mean you have to erase Verso's canvas.
Child, do you think I want to? After all the sorrows we've endured, do you really think that I want to destroy this last piece of his soul?
Then don't. Don't.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices. We do what we must.
Grief often blinds us, and we make choices we can never take back.
You grieve for two.
I grieve for many.
The choices of parents leave indelible marks upon their children. But ultimately, The voices in their head have to be their own. You cannot set the boundaries of their life for them.
After the fire, you wanted me to find new joy in life. And I tried. But I couldn't. Verso died because of me. How do I get from that to joy?
Child, it will get better, I promise you. But this is not the way. Your friends speak truth. And it changes nothing. You can hate me. But that's a choice I must make. As your father, I must look out for you. Especially when you can't look out for yourself.
You treat me as if I'm still 5!
I treat you as if the shadow from the worst day of our lives is going to suffocate you and take you from us too! Enough. I said enough.
The beginning of this fight is pretty cool. The scenery of course is beautiful as per usual, but it really ramps up when Renoir decides to summon the Axons to help him fight. This shows just how much power Renoir controls within the canvas. He actually summons 2 other Axons that we haven't seen yet. The Reacher, who the player is able to see through a side quest, they are meant to represent Alicia and how Renoir still has hope that she can live a fulfilling and happy life despite the burn on her face. The Axon is even known as She Who Grasps the Sky. And the final one is named the Hauler, who is meant to represent Clea. This one is actually found dead and has a city on its back, representing how Clea took all of the responsibilities of the family after Verso's death. The Axon is even described as She Who Carries the World. It's actually funny because you can't really see this Axon during the fight, and it just randomly throws a building out of nowhere. Definitely caught me off guard the first time. Once Renoir is almost defeated, Seren heals him back to full health, completely nullifying all of our work.
I do love a challenge, but this is beginning to irk me.
Fuck. He keeps regenerating.
Maybe we focus on the Axons first.
She can't.
Mama.
You're going to kill yourself. It's too soon for you to return to any canvas.
Renoir gives himself a glow up and the fight can continue. I didn't mention this, but the song during this fight is also gas. It's called Une vie à peindre, which mirrors Une vie à t'aimer, the former meaning a life to paint and the latter meaning a life to love. And with the help from Aline, the expedition defeats Renoir, but he isn't going down without a fight. Renoir then desperately pleads with Maëlle to leave the canvas.
Ironic. Your mother was the one who saved me when I lost myself in a canvas. She taught me how to safely use our gift. How to soar without flying too close to the sun. We painted hundreds of canvas worlds, pushing the very boundaries of creation. And she never let me forget that every day we spent here has a price. Yet, here we are now.
So trust her. If she's doing this, then...
I trust what she taught me. This is not a game. You think you know what's at stake, but you don't.
I know precisely what's at stake. You want control. You want to feel like you're doing something. You couldn't save Verso, so you want to save us. Except you're not. Destroying the canvas won't help us move on. It'll just deny us the one place that helped us feel again.
67 years. 67 years I spent trapped within the monolith. But I persisted. Do you know why? Do you know why I cannot leave her or you behind? This is what I see every day. I cannot spend another day with living corpses. Since the fire, our family has crumbled. Aline in the canvas. Clea fighting a solitary war. You, a living ghost. Verso's death broke us. Want it to be fixed. I need it to be fixed. I cannot lose you too.
Don't you see? That's how I feel about them. I can't lose them either. I've lost too much. Papa, see? I've lost so much.
We both lost so much.
Papa, to lose you either. I'm not leaving you forever. Just a little longer.
I want to trust you, but...
You can.
Keep the light on for you. I hope you find peace. Hold on to each other.
Renoir leaves, but still leaves open a rift to the base of the canvas. Verso then takes this opportunity and enters it. It's here where he finds that lingering piece of the real Verso's soul, the soul forever forced to paint. Maëlle then enters, and Verso confronts her.
Why did you run in? It's dangerous for you here.
See things as they are, not how you want them to be.
What?
You lied to your father.
No.
You saw it too. But he wanted to believe. You're going to die here. Why don't you just leave? You can always come back.
The moment I leave, Papa will erase this canvas.
This is not worth your life.
What life? My life of loneliness in a shell of a body, with no voice and no future.
You're Maëlle. No matter where you are, you don't need this canvas.
But everything I want is here. Here I have a chance to live, Verso, to live. Out there I merely exist.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices.
Stop quoting Papa!
It's time to stop painting.
Papa also said, hold on to each other. Old friend, you've traveled miles, spinning in circles, your blind eyes on the dial, stripping
I'm sorry.
out colors. But it's time to say goodbye until next life.
Now the player gets to decide the fate of the canvas, which is genuinely the hardest decision I've ever had to make in a video game. Both sides have their own merit and reasons. Maëlle is fighting for the world that she has known as her home for the last 16 years, a world where she isn't a burnt freak. She sees the painting as a true other existence and as her only connection left to Verso, so she believes she is fighting not only for her own happiness, but the happiness of the painting's inhabitants. The inhabitants that we have been following this entire game and who we have grown an immense attachment for. Now she feels the duty to keep the canvas alive for Verso's memory and for the world that has become her second half, her happier half. Verso is fighting for a world that he believes is nothing but a projection of his mother's grief, a world that shouldn't exist, a world that only causes brief plastic joy to shield the overreaching grasp that pain has on the Desange family. He is fighting to save the family that is no longer his. He is able to recognize that he isn't the real Verso, and never will be, because that Verso is dead, and this world that he loved so much as a child is now being used as some kind of opioid. Now he feels the duty to put it to rest, for Verso's soul. Both sides have their reasons, which is why this decision is so difficult to make. The logical side is Verso, who recognizes this as a false world, while Mael truly believes this to be her home. I think in any other game I would have easily chosen Verso's side and destroyed the canvas just based on logic. However, this entire game has been spent with these characters, making it so we have such a close attachment to them that we just don't want to let go. But then I realized, this was a cycle. I'm doing exactly what Aline has been doing the entire game, not being able to let go. And by choosing Mael's side, I'm just repeating this never-ending cycle. So I knew what choice to make. Now it's time for the endings. If you choose Mael and defeat Verso, you get the ending, A Life to Paint. Verso begs Mael to kill him.
Unpaint me. Unpaint me.
He doesn't want this life. It isn't his to have. And he believes that his existence only causes pain and further blindness from grief.
I just wanted to live this lifetime together. This lifetime that was stolen from us. Please. Bro. Please.
I don't want this life. Help me. Help me.
The scene cuts to Lumiere, where it seems everybody has been repainted by Mael, and they are all at an auditorium. Namely, Gustav has been brought back from the dead, which it is nice to see him again, however, you can't help but feel the entire scene is off. This is what we've been fighting for. Everyone alive and happy, not having to worry about the Paintress or any other outside threat. However, this world feels fake, like none of it should be real. You can't help but feel guilty for subjecting Verso's soul to eternal torment of painting just because you couldn't handle letting go. Verso then walks on stage ready to play the piano, which is his true passion. However, before he begins to play, Mael's face is shown to be besmirched with the same look Aline had when entering the canvas, implying that she is losing herself, further repeating the cycle. If you choose Verso and defeat Mael, which is what I chose in my playthrough, you get the ending, A Life to Love. Verso holds on to Mael and tells her,
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, huh? You've got this incredible power to paint. You'll never have to suffer a life you don't want. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
He then hugs his childhood best friends for the last time and makes his final action to free what's left of his soul from painting, destroying the canvas, laying Verso's soul to rest. The final scene is of the Desange family grieving over Verso's grave, finally resolving their problems, allowing them to face their feelings together, as a family. Remember when I said that there weren't many lyrics left of the Una Via ta Mer song? I lied. Near the end, Renmore and Aline come together and sing about how they will look towards the future, for hope, together. Expedition 33 is the greatest narrative of any media I have ever seen. I have never been this attached to any characters in my entire life, and I think this story will stick with me for a long time. Like, after I finished this game, I went on a 2-week long vacation, and I couldn't help but think about this game throughout the entire trip. It's such a perfectly crafted story about the grief of a family, and the fact that every character is flawed and has their reasons for their actions leads me to have no place to put my unresolved emotions. Neither of the endings are happy endings, and that's because the game has dropped us into an eternally cursed world filled with false joy. And learning to let go of every connection you made in the game is the only way to feel some form of resolution. At the end of the day, Clair Obscura Expedition 33 is a game about an eternal cycle of grief that the player must find a way to end. Grief can blind anyone if they believe there is a way to numb their pain, whether it be a lean in the painting or a real-world example like drugs or alcohol. This game broke me. I've never felt such emotion when playing a game, and it was able to accomplish that in the first 30 minutes with its beautiful intro. Even right now writing this script, I feel like I'm about to break down after finally putting all my thoughts and feelings into writing. Please play this game. You and the developers deserve it. I am so excited to see what Sandfall Interactive does in the future, and I believe that somehow they will top this game. And if you somehow made it this far, please consider supporting with a comment or a subscribe. It really means a lot. I think I'll end this video off with a short quote from William Shakespeare. To weep is to make less the depth of grief.
Des hauts pas tu trouveras